I'm literally a survivor of multiple adults in my life from the age of 6 up into kind of like now still, like misusing me, abusing me in multiple ways, and just mistreating me. I have a lot of like trauma, and I think I forgive. I definitely forgive everybody I have, but it still eats at me, for things that have happened. And sometimes even now, I'm still like, why can't they, treat me better, whatever. So I just want to like go ahead and share my story with you guys because somebody else might be going through the same thing. You're not alone. Okay, so we're gonna go way back. I have a whole lot of siblings. I have siblings. I want to say seven on my dad's side and six on my mom's side. I'm the oldest on my mother's side, and the second oldest on my dad's. I'm my dad's oldest child, but I'm my siblings on my dad's side. I'm their second oldest sister. Anyway, so my mother, she was young. She had me. She had me at 15. Um, yeah, she had me at 15. And she wasn't supposed to have, she didn't tell anybody that she was pregnant with me, right? So by the time she told them, I she was 6 months. Okay, so basically my grandfather, rest in peace, who is my best friend until the day he died, but he did it. Yeah, he told her like you're giving her for adoption, girl, like you're giving her for adoption. So long story short, yes, I was given up for adoption when I was born, but my mother fought to get me back. So my mom, she has been through trauma too, but that's another story. So oh, it just hurt. So yeah, the story is coming in hot. So being raised by my mom, my dad, I would see him, how a lot of dads are. Like he was not really present in my life. I knew my dad, my grandmother, my dad's mom. She kind of like filled the role for him. He would be there every now and again if I see him. If he didn't put like the effort. If he was around because he was at his mom's house, that's when I would see him. But as everything else, he wasn't really around. Um, my dad, we'll get more to that later on. Okay, so my dad wasn't really that present, but his parents were present. They were standing in for his absence. Um, my mom, she got with a man who just not right, like abused her. I would see her getting abused. Like I kind of already knew what time it was. Like depending on the mood of the house, her, responses to stuff. If she's in the room, door closed, I kind of like knew, what was going on. So I would see her. I would hear it for sure. I will always hear my mom getting like abused. And then I've seen like the aftermath of her, like the bruises and stuff like that. So, anyways, his like abuse didn't stop there. Um, like one, I'm not gonna really go because I don't know if that's like allowed in this app. But basically, to make a long story short, I was 6 years old. I never remember like absolutely like as clear as day. I was, SA, or I can't really say the word, on here, but you can put two and two together. By my mom's boyfriend. I was 6 years old. Um, yeah, I knew it wasn't right, but I was confused. I'm like, well, what is he doing? Like, you know, whatever. It was nighttime. I don't know if my mom was there or not. She may have been asleep. I don't know. And then the next day, I'm sure he did this to kind of like cover his tracks or whatever. But the next day, I didn't tell her right away because I didn't know what to think like of that, and I knew that he was beating her up. So I'm like, if I tell him and she says something, like he's gonna beat her up again. Like I don't want her to get beat up. So, he actually showed me a pew pew. Like under the bed. Like he went to the like, told me to come to the room. I went to the room and then I see, he lifts up the mattress and then it's like pew pew. So I took that as like you better not tell your mama or you know that's gonna happen to you. That's what I took it as. So I never told my mom until I was 12. I didn't tell her. My mom was a ride or die for me. Like when I did tell her, she was like, you know, told him all, told his sister, like she went hard for me. So I appreciate my mother so much for that. Because some girls and women that go through that and they tell their parents or whoever, relatives, whatever, they don't believe it. My mom believed me. Whatever, my mama was a ride or die. So I thank her for that. But, nevertheless, it happened. And that's not the only time it happened, but that was like the first time it happened with that person. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this hair. So yeah, so I went through a lot already. Like by the time I was like 5, 6 years old, just exposed to a lot of things that I shouldn't have been exposed to. My mom was good to me, but she had like her moments. I felt like because of what she was going through, she couldn't really, really, really be there for me, like emotionally or, doing certain things. She just kind of wasn't available. But now that I've grown up, I understand why. I feel like I wanted her, to just like stood up so she could have been more. But she was going through her own stuff. So that's my mother, at the end of the day. She has apologized and she shows effort, so that's what matters. So I've been through a lot of stuff. By the time 5, 6, okay, going for it. My mom did have 2 kids by him. So at this time, I want to say I had 2 siblings from my mother, and then on my dad's side, I had 2 as well so far. So going through that on my mom's side. On my dad's side, and I'm not gonna say any names, but I'm so sorry if you see this and you feel away, but this is my story, and I deserve to be able to express how I felt, and just be relatable and real. And yeah, so my father, he got with a woman and she was very, very mean to me, like really mean to me. Like I didn't like going over there because of how she treated me, like I didn't belong, like she didn't want me there, so aside from me not going or like my dad not really being in my life when he was around, and when he would come over, or I would come over to where he lived, it was like that was it. Like it was just he would do with me while I was there, and then his girlfriend was like very mean to me. So that's just kind of like what I was going through from like 6 to I want to say let's jump to like 12, because that's when it gets like really sticky. Yeah, so it gets really sticky when I would say like 12. So my mom, let's just do a little summary. So I was going through all this stuff. My dad didn't really, he wasn't really involved in my life. Whenever I would see him, it was because I'm at his mother's house or, in like passing. My mom's going through this abuse, physical abuse. I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it. I'm exposed to family member or like his family members that are kind of like perverse too. Then when I do go and see my dad, it's like the girlfriend is very mean to me, just going through it, okay? So that's just, that's been happening. Fast forward to 12, so we were living with my great-grandparents, my loves, like they have made my life, taught me so many things, these are my mother's grandparents, so, she was close to them too. They have made my life just wonderful, showing me what a marriage should look like. Growing up, going to Granny and Papa's house, get whatever I want. I mean, I wanted a trampoline. It's in the backyard the next day. A big old, huge backyard to grow up in. A great grandmother do my hair. Teach me things. That was the highlight of my life. But whenever I would leave them, it was just not good for me. So anyways, we lived with them. I want to say this was 2011, late 2010, 2011. And we lived with them. So, life was a little bit better in terms of my mom, but my dad's side, that was still going on. And they both passed away, unfortunately. And my mom said, me and my brothers, she sent us to live with my dad, or our fathers. So you can imagine how that went. And I'm gonna tell you in part two. So go find that. Yeah.